Hello. I think we're good everywhere. Okay. Hi, how are you? New week, a new week and new iterations of our samsaric existence. I hope that everyone over the weekend took good care of themselves. I don't even feel like I can say I hope you had a good weekend. I know that probably many of us, at least in the US, are just holding our breath, really, to see what happens next. And so, I don't even know if I should say, like, I hope you had a good weekend, because I think probably you, like me, were vacillating between, oh my God, and then just trying to get through this day. So we are in unprecedented political waters. I don't really have much to say on that subject. I think that other people are saying it more effectively than I can. Honestly, if you don't know how I feel, I'm not here to make myself self-important by telling you how I feel. It's sort of weird. But I do think that that said, that the one thing that probably everybody watching this can agree on, if you're here, and watching this with me, you're doing this practice with me, is that this is a situation that deserves a lot of discernment, mindful thought, and compassion. And that we're not going to get through this collectively without those things. So, other than that, I don't really have any self-important political opinions to share with you. I'm more interested in the Heart Sutra. I have a new translation that I'm going to read aloud today. This translation, I was given permission by J.A.A. Narayan to share. This is their translation of the Prajnaparamita Heart Sutra, and it's beautifully, beautifully translated. Uttering the sound of the three states of existence. Om. I enter mystic union of oneness with the entire cosmos. In the three worlds, in the three times, my breath binds the sound Om, purifying the body, speech, and mind. I take refuge and invoke the awakened mind of the goddess who knows all and who hears all suffering. The blessed Bodhisattva Aryatara, from the deep practices of the heart's perfect wisdom, understanding that the five elements of consciousness are always empty, instructing her student Shariputra, she says, in this world of forms, Shariputra, all phenomena are empty. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. Form is not separate from emptiness, and emptiness is not different from form. Always emptiness is the same as phenomena, potential or actual form, and emptiness never separate. So it is for feelings, conceptions, perceptions, and consciousness. All phenomena, Shariputra, have the characteristics of emptiness. They neither die nor take their birth into existence. Neither are improper nor shining with purity. Neither are complete nor deficient in any way wanting. So, Shariputra, in that emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, conception, perception, nor consciousness. There is no seeing, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, nor thought. Neither are there solid forms, sounds, fragrances, sensations, nor conceptual phenomena. No circle of light, nor is there a sphere of consciousness. There is no knowledge, nor ignorance. Neither does ignorance get vanquished, nor knowledge voided. No long road to aging and death, and no liberation from it. No causes of suffering, nor samsara. No stopping on the journey of joy and suffering. There is no clinging to thoughts, nor grasping. There is no attainment of anything, as there is nothing to attain. With blissful practicing of the heart's perfect wisdom, obstructions of mind move clear, and the labyrinthine maze of thought, impressions, and delusions of duality are liberated. In this way, the blessed Bodhisattva Aryatara enters enlightened transcendence. In the three worlds, all on the Bodhisattva path may practice the heart's perfect wisdom, and in applying it every moment, find the nature of mind and enter enlightenment. So understand and see the mantra of the heart's perfect wisdom as the strongest of sorceries, as the most powerful saying of mystical and sacred speech. It is the mantra which smooths over all things, which disperses lies into its light of truth. This mantra liberates all, and it is said like this: Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, buddhi soha. Gone, gone, crossed over and gone, completely beyond, gone to the far shore, awakened, and all is good. This ends the heart's perfect wisdom. I am just in love with this translation. Thank you, Sri John, for sharing it with me. And we'll be using this translation this whole week. So let's have a card for today. What is the guidance in how to be today? Today, thousand-armed Avalokiteshvara, she who looks compassionately upon the earth. Quiet compassion is sometimes the best course. Avalokiteshvara made a vow to relieve suffering and help others reach enlightenment. She worked for eons, but found that she hadn't helped others at all. In her despair and with a deep desire to complete her vow, her arms shattered into 1,000 arms, giving her the ability to help many more people. Each palm of each arm has an eye in it, so that she can see everywhere, into every corner of humankind's homes and hearts, and find out where she is needed. This is where she gets her name, which means the one who looks down. Her head shattered into 11 heads, each one versed in a different form of compassionate ability. They each represent the fact that she has mastered all 10 stages of the Bodhisattva, each phase dominated by a particular attitude. 3 of the faces are loving, 3 of the faces are peaceful, and 4 of the faces are fierce. Sometimes help isn't delivered with a sweet smile, and sometimes it knows that its gifts are only received through fierce action. This form is bizarre, and her snarling faces confuse us. The image as a whole shows that form, sometimes lifestyles, appearances, range out of the norm when a human being makes the leap into enlightenment. In India, this deity is named Padmapani or Lokeshvara. Avalokiteshvara's mantra is Om Mani Padme Hum. She is the patron and guardian of the Tibetan people who call the male deity Shenrezig. She holds to her heart the wish-fulfilling gem of the bodhicitta, the desire to grow spiritually. In China, we know her as Guan Yin, but there are many other names in Japan, Kannon, and in other parts of China, Guan'am, Kunyam, multiple, and throughout Asia, multiple different pronunciations of the various names of the one who perceives. Avalokiteshvara's dilemma at feeling like she wasn't helping others is a window into the idea that we, as small, humble individuals, often feel like we can do very little to change the world. We somehow have to transcend the idea of our limited existence to really become a helper to humanity. We are allowed to believe that we can change the world. We are allowed to believe that not even by going out and taking any kind of heroic effort, or not even by making some kind of big splash and getting famous, and not by doing some grand gesture, but that actually we change the world every single day with our small actions. The small actions that we undertake to benefit others, to give others some comfort, some relief, to play with the crying baby in the grocery store so that the exhausted mom can just count her change at the checkout stand. That running over to the neighbor and saying, hey, I noticed that your sidewalk is icy. I've got some extra salt. Can I sprinkle it for you? That sense of seeing a dog or an animal on the street, and instead of just driving by and going, wonder what happened there, stopping, looking, seeing if you can help. Those are the gestures that change the world. The world-changing gestures are not what's happening. I am telling you right now, the world-changing gestures are not what's happening in the government right now. The government exists for its own sake and will continue to exist for its own sake, a layer above the average human being, a layer to which we rarely can have any access whatsoever. And I'm not saying we shouldn't try to change that. I'm saying don't put one's faith in that. That is not where the change is going to happen. That will only follow the changes that we make on our level. If we make changes on our level, that system will eventually conform to the changes we're making, or the system will break and a new system will develop itself. Thousands of years of history have shown us that this is how this goes. There is no despotic leader nor kindly leader who lives forever. We have to seize the moment. The moment is the change. So today, without grand gestures, without feelings of paralysis, without feelings of self-importance, without anger, without a sense of justification toward violence, without any of those things that pretend to be heroic or world-changing. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. One thing, each of us, one thing today that's going to make somebody else's life better. One thing where we go out of our way, where we push past our comfort zone, where we inconvenience ourselves even just a little bit to help someone else. This is what changes the world. And as we do this, each of us quietly, humbly, at our own little level here, eventually the whole world changes. I know this to be true because the Dharma began, well, the Dharma is beginningless and endless, but on this planet, in this timeline, we were introduced to the Dharma by Buddha Shakyamuni, the one who sat under the Bodhi tree, attained enlightenment, became aware of the endlessness of the structures that we pour ourselves into and the suffering that they beget us, and said, there has to be another way. And now, all over the world, millions of people meditate every day. Can't be a mistake. The ordinary activity of your day to day can be life-changing. Don't forget. That's our short bit for today, if that's what you were here for. And now let's do Guanyin practice. Since here, especially, we have Guanyin's card today, Thousand Armed Avalokiteshvara. And how great that I pulled this card now that I have the physical statue that looks like that form. I've, can't help but notice the interdependent co-arising. 3 prostrations. And let's take refuge. Namo Gurube. I take refuge in the inner teacher. Namo Buddhaye. I take refuge in the great mother of compassion. Namo Dharmaye. I take refuge in the wisdom of the ages. Namo Sanghaye. I take refuge in the community of practitioners. And let's set our intention, a person, place, situation, or circumstance that will benefit from our practice today. And let's send out energy today to all who are paralyzed with anxiety about the future. That their fear be alleviated so that they can think clearly about their own next steps. And let's recite the 4 immeasurables. May I be a source of loving kindness in this world and all worlds, bringing a generous heart to all my thoughts and doings. May I be a vehicle of compassion in this world and all worlds, ever mindful and aware of the tremendous suffering of others. May I be a brimming vessel of joy in this world and all worlds, delighting in the happiness of others as their suffering is alleviated. May I be a balance point of equanimity in this world and all worlds, seeing all as equals and all as deserving of goodness. I light this candle as a symbol of the enlightening Dharma way. May it shine brightly for the benefit of all beings. I light this incense as an offering for Guanxin, she who hears the cries of the world, mother of all. Om Ahum. 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 Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and virtual. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the meditation of all holy and ordinary beings. Please, Guan Yin, remain until the end of samsaric existence, and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of others to the great enlightenment. "108 recitations of Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, awakening that powerful energy of Avalokiteshvara within each of our hearts, the one who takes that big picture and looks down on the larger landscape of reality, and then looks for ways to alleviate suffering." Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, Namo Quan Shi Yin Fu Sa. 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 The words of Yeshe Tzogyal. Wherever there is space, 5 elements pervade. Wherever the 5 elements, the homes of living beings. Wherever living beings, karma and defilements. Wherever is defilement, my compassion is also. Wherever is the need of beings, there I am to help them. To the hungry I was heaps of food and all good things, and thus I brought them joy. To the cold and freezing I was fire and sun warmth, thus their joy. To the poor and needy I was wealth and riches, thus their joy. To the naked I was every kind of raiment, thus their joy. To the childless I was sons and daughters, thus their joy. To those who sought a lover, I was a loving and attractive consort, and thus their joy. To those who wanted magic powers, I gave prowess in the 8 great cities, and thus I brought them joy. To the sick I was their remedy, and thus their joy. To the anguished I was all their mind desired, and thus I was their joy. To those hard-pressed by the punishments of despots, I was the loving friend to lead them to the land of peace, and I was thus their joy. To those in fear of wild beasts, I was a haven, thus their joy. To those who fell into the depths, I was their drawing out, and thus their joy. To those tormented in the fires, I was a quenching stream, and thus their joy. To those in prey to any of the elements, I was their medicine, and thus their joy. For those who could not see, I was their eyes and brought them joy. And for those who could not walk, I was feet, and thus their joy. I was a tongue for those who could not speak, and thus I brought them joy. To those in fear of death, I granted immortality, and thus I was their joy. I led the dying on the path of transference, and brought them joy. To those who wandered in the bardo state, I was their spirit guide, bringing them to joy. I cooled the burning heat and warmed the cold of those lost in the realms of hell. Howsoever they were tortured, I changed myself to shield them, being thus their joy. To those who lingered in the land of hungry ghosts, I was their food and drink, and thus their joy. I was freedom from oppression and servitude for those caught in the wordless state of beasts, and thus I brought them joy. Those beings born in places of war, I protected them from strife and brought them joy. I was a truce from endless conflict for the demigods and was thus their joy. The jealous gods I guarded from their bitter fall, and I was thus their joy. I shielded all from everything that tortured them and was their every joy. That, right there, that is the essence of today's card. Now let's call out to Guanyin with 108 recitations of Om Mani Padme Hum, and we can ask for the strength and the fortitude and the wherewithal so that we can be what's needed. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Today, let's all be the loving friend to those hard-pressed by the punishments of despots, leading them to the land of peace. And let's give thanks for our teachers. May all of my blessed teachers enjoy long, happy, healthy, productive lives and great support for their good works. May all beings benefit from their wisdom. May they enjoy a swift and happy rebirth. And long life prayer for Lama Dechen Yeshe Wangmo. Om Swasti. Through the powerful blessings of the immortal Pema Chögyam and his consort, may the three secret qualities of the Dakini of Supreme Bliss, Yeshe Wangmo, be utterly stable, and may the light of her activities shine on the lotus groves of the teachings and of beings, so that they blossom in radiant splendor. And let's dedicate the merit. May the merit of this practice and all of my activities be of endless benefit to all beings in all realms, beginningless and continuous. May all obstacles be overcome and suffering cease at the sound of liberation. May all beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all beings have happiness and its causes. May we carry the essence of Guanyin in our hearts. Namo Guanxin Pusa. And we close with a bow to Guanyin. Bow to one another and bow to the inner teacher. And please drop your counts in the comments so that I know that you were here, and I can add them to our, thank you, Josai. I can add them to our count. I hope everybody today is able to hold that space of helping and easing the pain of others as the way forward for changing this world and its paradigms, and to not lay too much importance in the laps of the despots. Be back tomorrow.